The Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fight, which had everyone buzzing, wasn't what it seemed. The hype surrounding the event was massive, with fans and media alike eagerly anticipating a battle between a legendary boxing icon and a social media sensation. But as the fight unfolded, something about it felt off. What was supposed to be a high-stakes encounter between two titans of their respective worlds turned into something that, for many, felt more like a movie script than a legitimate boxing match. As the dust began to settle after the fight, whispers started circulating that what fans had just witnessed wasn't a real contest at all. Instead, many began to question whether it had all been a carefully orchestrated spectacle, a payday for both Tyson and Paul. The glitz, the glamour, and the massive audience seemed almost too perfect. It raised suspicions. Was the fight staged? Was it all just a business deal designed to generate revenue and headlines? The answers weren't immediately clear, but the doubt was undeniable. Fans have been led to believe that this would be a legitimate clash of two fighters with genuine stakes on the line. But as the night went on, the reality seemed to sink in. Something about the whole event wasn't quite right. And then came the most shocking twist of all. Mike Tyson collapsed shortly after the fight. This wasn't some minor injury or a mere misstep. It was serious. Fans who had been in awe of Tyson's legendary career watched in disbelief as the former undisputed heavyweight champion was rushed to the hospital. Images of Tyson, once a powerful force in the ring, now being taken away on a stretcher, left everyone unsettled. Tyson's health had been a point of concern for years, but this collapse marked a new low. The fight that had once seemed like a triumphant return for Tyson had now turned into a cautionary tale. A man who had once ruled the ring with his raw power and intense focus was now paying the price for stepping back into the arena at the age of 58. Despite the years, despite the toll the sport had taken on his body, Tyson still believed deep down that he had something to prove. But the question lingered. Was it worth it? Tyson's collapse came as a wake-up call, not just for the fighter himself, but for everyone involved. His team quickly confirmed that while he wasn't critically injured, the punches he had taken from Jake Paul had left lasting effects. Tyson, who had been battling multiple health issues including severe back pain, had pushed himself too far. The medical team at the venue reported dizziness, fatigue, and discomfort in his head immediately following the fight. These weren't just the typical effects of a grueling boxing match. It was clear that Tyson was fighting against more than just Jake Paul. He was fighting his own body, which, after years of wear and tear, was no longer able to withstand the intense rigors of the sport. As more details about Tyson's condition emerged, it became clear that his health was more fragile than many had realized. While the public had always associated Tyson with strength and resilience, the reality was that his body had been through a lot. His career had taken a massive toll physically, mentally, and emotionally, and the effects of that were now becoming painfully obvious. It's hard not to feel sympathy for Tyson in this situation. His career had been filled with both highs and lows, moments of brilliance and instances of self-destruction. Yet, despite all the challenges he had faced both inside and outside the ring, there had always been a sense that Tyson could come back. There was always a belief that, deep down, he had more to give, that he could rise from the ashes and reclaim the greatness he once had. But was this comeback for the right reasons? Or was it more about something else, something more complex? The idea of redemption is a powerful one, especially for someone like Tyson, whose life has been filled with struggle. After all, Tyson was once considered one of the most dangerous and feared men in boxing. His rise to the top of the sport in the late 1980s was nothing short of meteoric, and his reign as heavyweight champion was filled with brutal knockouts and an aura of invincibility. But it was also marked by controversy, legal troubles, and a series of personal battles that eventually led to his downfall. After years of being at the pinnacle of the sport, Tyson found himself in a downward spiral, losing his titles, his freedom, and his place in the world of boxing. When Tyson announced his comeback, it was clear that there was more than just boxing at play. For Tyson, the return to the ring wasn't only about titles or money, it was about proving something to himself. It was about reclaiming the part of himself that had been lost during years of self-destructive behavior. But as he stepped back into the ring, questions arose about whether this was truly the right time for such a return. Did Tyson, at the age of 58 and with his body in a much more fragile state, really compete at the highest level? The collapse after the fight made it clear Tyson had pushed himself too far. But was it for the right reasons? Was it worth it? These are the questions that linger, especially as fans reflect on the spectacle they had just witnessed. Tyson's team may have downplayed the severity of the situation, but it was impossible to ignore the reality that this wasn't just about a boxing match. It was about Tyson's personal demons, his struggle for redemption, and the toll that a lifetime of boxing had taken on his body. Despite the physical challenges, Tyson's determination remained unshaken. His legacy in the sport of boxing is undeniable, and his influence on the sport is still felt today. He may have faltered in the ring, but his career is a testament to his incredible willpower, his fierce competitiveness, and his drive to prove the doubters wrong. Tyson's story is one of both triumph and tragedy, and his struggles outside the ring have been as monumental as his victories inside it. However, the question remains, was this fight with Jake Paul, this spectacle that captivated the world, really worth the price Tyson paid? Could this be a turning point, a final chapter in the saga of a man who once conquered the world? Or was it just another moment in a long line of high-risk decisions that ultimately led to his collapse? For many, Tyson's collapse after the fight is a reminder of the dangers of pushing oneself beyond the limits. Boxing is a brutal sport, and it's one that requires the body to endure unimaginable punishment. For someone like Tyson, whose body has already been through so much, this fight might have been one challenge too many. Tyson's collapse isn't just a physical reminder of his aging body, it's also a reflection of the inner conflict that many athletes face when they decide to come back after years of being away from the sport. In the end, Tyson's legacy is safe. He will forever be remembered as one of the greatest heavyweights to ever step into the ring. But the question of whether this comeback was truly worth it, or whether it was more about money, fame, or a desire for redemption, will remain unanswered. For now, Tyson will continue to be a figure of fascination, and his story will continue to captivate both fans and critics alike. Whether or not he can bounce back from this collapse is something only time will tell. But one thing is for certain, Tyson Fury's return to the ring will always be a moment of reckoning, both for the man himself and for those who continue to watch his every move